Hey guys, I just want to share a quick video clip. I'm just going to use my cell phone and put it up against my camera on my computer and share. I don't have the software to put up my computer on the screen right now, but it's a clip from Tucker Carlson from Fox News, and he sums up what's happening again really, really well. And I just wanted to share it because it's just really well done and it's very accurate about what's happening right now. So hopefully this will work out. Let's see.
You can tell a lot about a society by what shocks its leaders. For generations, what shocked the people in charge of this country was political violence, hurting your neighbors for having different opinions. They were appalled by that, and they were right to be. Political violence isn't simply an assault on individual Americans. It's an attack on America itself. In this country, we govern by consent, not by force. People with guns don't make our laws. Voters do. You may have a Glock in your hand, but on election day you have precisely as many votes as the little old lady who disagrees with you. That's our system. The weak are supposed to have as much power over the government as the strong. That is the basis of our equality as Americans, something that we should cherish and protect. Political violence immediately short-circuits this. It ends democracy. Violence instead returns us to the most primitive of all systems, one in which might makes right. People who hurt others get to do exactly what they want. Everyone else has to obey them. There is no greater threat to civilization than this, and we used to understand that because it's obvious. But things have changed. People who run this country are no longer shocked by political violence. They welcome it. They slyly encourage it. They are its beneficiaries. They tell us the only real crimes are thought crimes. It's okay to set fires or smash strangers in the face with 2x4s, so long as you are chanting the correct slogans. If you're on the right team, everything is allowed. But if you dare to dissent from the orthodoxy, you will be swiftly punished. Go ahead and express the wrong opinion. Try it in a meeting. Try it on Facebook. They will find you. You'll lose your job, your reputation, possibly even your life. The message they're sending you is very clear. Americans are not equal anymore. There are two standards in this country, one standard for them and a very different standard for you. Over the weekend, we saw exactly what they will excuse from their own supporters. Armed mobs of Joe Biden voters torched buildings, smashed cars, attacked police officers. They rioted. They hurt people, a lot of people. And the media, watching closely, lied about all of it. They pretended it didn't happen. They made excuses for it. They buried the truth in euphemism. The liars of the New York Times described the riots as, quote, protests, as if the violence was justified or could be justified. Here's the truth about what happened. Here's what actually happened in Seattle over the weekend. Take a look. Protests. No, these were not protests. These were scenes from war. The rioters threw rocks, bottles, wood, explosives at police. One explosion left an 8-inch hole in a police precinct. Because no lie is too absurd for CNN to tell, the number described violence against police as, quote, a demonstration against police violence. Got that? It's a perfect inversion of the truth worthy of 1984. Ignorance is strength, freedom is slavery, war is peace. They repeat it because they expect you to believe it, and no doubt some do. The Seattle Police Department gamely tried to push back by releasing actual body cam footage of the violence. It's not clear how many people saw it, so we're going to show some of it to you right here. 39 police officers were injured in this demonstration against police violence. CNN would like you to believe they attacked themselves. They did not. Not in Seattle, not anywhere. In Oakland, mobs with helmets and shields attacked a police station. They shot cops with fireworks. They set fire to a courthouse. Here are pictures of it. According to ABC News, the rioters you just saw were, quote, protesters. They burned the courthouse, quote, after a peaceful demonstration intensified. Oh, intensified. Just like the World Trade Center collapse when a commercial airline flight intensified. It's remarkable. You've got to believe there are still normal people working at ABC News, maybe in the tape library or in the cafeteria. Are they watching their own coverage? How can they stand it? The apologies for violence, the relentless, shameless lying. It's hard to believe they haven't resigned. They probably have mortgages and kids. You feel for them, just as you feel for the cameraman who had to flee the mob in Sacramento over the weekend. They were surrounded and apparently assaulted by 150 Joe Biden voters dressed in black paramilitary gear and had to run for their lives. You'd think other journalists would be sympathetic to this. They used to be. Not anymore. The stakes are too high. We've got an election coming up. And so instead they lied to provide cover for the rioters, the ones who threatened the cameraman. The Sacramento Bee took pains to tell you that the protests were actually peaceful. The newspaper did its best to downplay the violence, including the fact that so-called protesters are trying to disarm police helicopters with laser pointers. One of the peaceful protesters ran through the streets with a chainsaw in order to block traffic. No problem. Nothing to see here. Meanwhile, at mostly peaceful protests in Austin and Aurora, Colorado, people were shot. In downtown Louisville, heavily armed militia and military outfits walked through the city threatening violence if police officers weren't sent to jail. No problem, just a protest. In Milwaukee, a black Trump supporter named Burnell Trammell was executed in front of his office in broad daylight. He was killed. In Portland, Oregon, police seized a bag filled with rifle magazines and Molotov cocktails. Not a big deal. City leaders in Portland have ignored 60 straight days of rioting. It's fine, they say. Really? Here's how Portland looked over the weekend. This isn't fine. It's not normal. It's not a protest. These aren't children. These are adults. And they're destroying our country. They're completely out of control. They're violent. Are they punished? No. Where's the Justice Department in this? Don't we have an Attorney General? Isn't he supposed to be conservative? Why are we allowing this? Chad Wolf runs the Department of Homeland Security. Wolf, whatever you think of him, has been one of the very few officials in Washington who seems to notice that any of this is happening. He sent federal law enforcement to Portland to keep the mob from burning down the federal courthouse there, which the mob does not own. It's federal property. They have no right to torch it. It's not theirs. It's ours. For doing that, for being one of the very few to actually push back a little bit, he was punished. The mob came to Chad Wolf's home yesterday, and they threatened him and his family. And they didn't do it subtly. There wasn't subtext. They said it out loud on camera. Watch.
We must make social consequences for these men and women. We must make it uncomfortable for them. We will not be good Germans. We are angry neighbors. This man lives here quietly and is able to live just like us.
Oh, he's starting to figure out why the Department of Justice isn't actually doing anything, why they haven't frog-marched the leaders of Antifa in front of the camera, why they haven't stopped this stuff, why they're acting like they're powerless. Maybe they don't want mobs like this in front of their houses. Maybe mob violence works. We must make it uncomfortable for them, she says, in a megaphone. What does that mean? Well, we don't need to guess. because we just spent all weekend watching what it means. Here's the contrast that we should never forget. Things change so quickly you imagine things have always been this way, but they haven't. There's a presidential election a few months from now. If you disagree with what Chad Wolf has done, you get to vote against Chad Wolf's boss. And Chad Wolf will be out of a job. That's the way we used to do it when this was a democracy, but not anymore. Now they just go and threaten Chad Wolf's children, and the media applaud. Last month, a radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant mocked reports that his city was descending into chaos. These were peaceful protests, he suggested. On Twitter, Gallant reported that he saw, quote, no burning, pillaging, or deaths. Of course, those things were happening. They existed. We show you tape of it at the time. But Gallant pretended otherwise. We don't know why. We'd have to assume because he thought it would help his team. Then the rioters showed up in the building where he lives, in his apartment building, and they destroyed the Starbucks downstairs, and that scared him. Now Gallant says he's buying a gun. It turns out it's not so easy to lie about violence when it's aimed at you.
So, I think that was just worth watching, and it's amazing how it's being spun. That's why I don't watch mainstream media anymore. You know, I'll watch a clip or two from Tucker Carlson once in a while, but I get most of my news from online, trusted sources. And but you know, it's really weird how this is happening, because if they're going to do this politically, okay, over social issues and stuff, look what's going to happen when they start coming after the church. And you know, I'm not trying to incite fear or anything, but you know, if the Lord tarries, we could see more stuff. And you know, the world is coming against just the Constitution and all sorts of things that are just normal everyday life things. Okay, what's called good is now called evil, and what's evil is now called good. It's completely upside down, and it's just going to get worse. And it's just, you know, this is going on for months, for a while. They're trying to rewrite history, and this is like a revolution, but it's not a righteous cause. It's an unrighteous cause. It's out of control, and it's really, really sad. But yeah, I mean, we have targets on our backs if we, you know, disagree with Black Lives Matters or Antifa, because they're front groups. And if that's the case, how much more so when they start coming against anyone who believes in Jesus Christ? I mean, they already hate us already, but it's just going to get worse. And we just have to be prepared. I'm not inciting fear. I'm just saying it's going to get worse, and it's going to come to a head, I think, in our country, but it's also going to come to a head in the world. Obviously, we know this through Scripture, but you know, the Scriptures tell us that we're going to be raptured out of here before the tribulation. But we could see more stuff, you know, and we have to be prepared for that in healthy scriptural ways that are, you know, just logical and sensible. But yeah, I just wanted to show that it's just crazy what's going on. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good night. All right. God bless.